The Lakers get 27 points from Luke Kennard and take game one. Let's tell you whether or not it's going to sustain the momentum to game two next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everybody for joining Locked On Lakers. Brian Kamenetsky, Andy Kamenetsky. Huge night for the Lakers Saturday. They win game one, 107-98 against the Rockets. The day started with surprising news, I guess, that Kevin Durant would not be available for this game. So we'll break it all down. What that meant, what it meant for the Lakers, what it did for the Lakers. Do want to let people know first that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. So the Lakers, we'll talk about all these incredible performances that they got, what they did really well. Obviously they shot the ball well. They distributed the points around the starting lineup, especially a lot of things to like about what the Lakers did. But the whole tenor of what was going to happen in game one changed when Kevin Durant went from questionable, which was a late designation based on an injury suffered in practice, Rockets practice. He went from questionable to out, which I'll be honest, surprised me a ton. I heard about that bump knee and the bruise and the questionable designation, and I was still convinced he was going to play.
I was stunned. I was absolutely shocked. It must be something that is really giving him trouble. Like he apparently tried to give it a go and just it was not responding well. No word as to what this means for game two. Ime Udoka, the Rockets coach, said that he's day-to-day, but you obviously could see a difference without Kevin Durant, as far as the way Houston operated and the way their offense struggled. I will say this right now for any of our audience, anybody listening, anybody watching who knows Rockets fans and starts hearing, well, Kevin Durant didn't play. You tell those people to kiss your ass.
I don't want to hear it.
Because you know who else? You know who was not available? Luka Dončić and Austin Reaves. So star power and overall talent gap still favoring Houston. Houston still had more of their primary players. You tell those people to kiss your ass.
Yes, I agree. But not hearing it changes. It changes a bunch of things. Obviously, the Lakers prepare for Kevin Durant, and they're preparing for a Houston offense that is centered around Kevin Durant. And when Durant doesn't play, even though that's an advantage, it does change your preps. I mean, there is something going on there. But what I find really fascinating about it is how it changes the dynamic.
There are much worse late-minute adjustments you have to make than the best player on the opponent isn't going to play.
No question. I don't think anybody in the Lakers locker room was objecting. But what I think is most interesting about this sort of the shift, other than like the Lakers little fist pump here, whatever, but like the whole series, like the whole lead up to the series was no pressure on the Lakers, all the pressure on the Rockets, like, get out there, play free, play easy, this, that, whatever, and let the chips fall where they may, surprise, shock the world, all that kind of stuff. The minute Durant can't play in game one, that shifts completely. Because now if the Lakers want to have any chance, like realistically, be like, you know what? We have a chance to win it if you have to win game one. The pressure shifts from the Rockets to maybe not entirely on the Lakers, but suddenly the Lakers are in a pressure situation because whether you want to debate, how much that levels the team out. So the Lakers better, are they about equal? Whatever it is, that gap narrows. And now you're at home in game one and you better go win. And the Lakers responded to that, I thought, incredibly well.
To me, it felt like they didn't even see it as pressure, even if, I mean, I don't disagree with the way you're framing it, but it is very clear they saw this as an opportunity.
Absolutely. That's what I mean. That's exactly right.
But from the minute the game began and their energy and the way that they were playing, and really the first quarter was the best offensive execution they had in terms of the entire game and the other three quarters. You could tell that they saw this as a real chance for a team that, the expectation we will see is that Durant is going to play at some point during the series. And without knowing any insider information when it comes to the Rockets, we are obviously not around that team. If I had to bet on who plays first, Kevin Durant, Luka Dončić, or Austin Reaves, based on what we know, I would bet on Kevin Durant.
Absolutely.
Right. So the point being, the Lakers saw this clearly. This is our chance. Forget how much we needed to win game one anyway, just to try to turn some of that pressure even further onto Houston, to try to just even out the odds, like not just the odds of winning the series, but just like our odds of trying to give ourselves a chance to do this. We got to make this happen now. And other than Jackson Hayes, who had a very forgettable game, a couple good scattered moments, but for the most part, very forgettable for Jack. Top to bottom, I thought everybody who played real minutes in this game for the Lakers found ways to contribute, and 4 or 5 guys especially well.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And this gets to another one of my big points. But even before we get into 27 points from Luke Kennard, 9 of 13 shooting, 5 of 5 from three-point range. LeBron, 9 of 15 shooting, very efficient from the floor, 8 rebounds, 13 assists. The Lakers turned the ball over a lot, but it wasn't because of LeBron. He had 13 assists against only 2 turnovers. You mentioned Deandre Ayton. He was 8 of 10 from floor. There are a lot of good and team performances in here. But one of the things that I thought was great about this victory is it was also validating in a lot of ways of how they won those last 3 games. And again, I realize there's a little bit of okay, again, because all 3 of those games down the stretch were against teams that were missing good players or quite literally trying not to win. Houston plays game 1 without Kevin Durant, but the Lakers controlled this game, from basically second quarter on, I thought. And the way they did it, it wasn't they came out in game 1 and LeBron went nuclear and, all these other things. LeBron played a very good game. Don't get me wrong. But they didn't lean on him to score 35 in this game. They didn't have him starting every possession with the ball. They still put him in a position to do a lot of damage on the move, catching, the second guy to catch the ball in a possession, and all these other things. Like the team defense was active. Deandre Ayton was really great on both sides of the ball in terms of his activity and his effort level. They played in a way that looked a lot like what they did in those last 3 games. And I think that's super important for them to build confidence about their group going forward to the rest of the series, with the assumption, I'm assuming Durant's going to play in game 2, but the Lakers now can look at this series and say, like, hey guys, this is our 4th win in a row. Like, we have a blueprint with this group that we have with us to go out and play successful basketball against anyone.
You did, before we go to break, something you'd said about like this game tonight was not that type of beatdown against, the Jazz or what they did against the Warriors or whatever. I think it is important for everybody to recognize they don't have the capability to do that. Like, they don't have the talent available to really, I think, stomp the life out of an opponent in a game. Like, Houston got back in a few times, and I know just from seeing Twitter comments and stuff, it was frustrating for a lot of fans. You're going to have to accept that as part of this series, because they're not forget the fact that Houston's good. The Lakers are not equipped with who they're missing to
But
be able to really.
I don't even think you would expect, even if they had their guys and everybody's playing at full strength. It's the playoffs, man. Against good teams,
Sure.
good teams, you're not gonna go up and win these games by 25 points.
I get it. I'm just saying it's something that people need to recognize, because I saw the commentary. I saw people getting frustrated that Houston would get back in. Beyond the fact that it's the playoffs and everyone's fighting hard to win, the Lakers are not equipped to do anything like that. I just think it's important.
No, I will, though. After the next, I want to talk about what's kind of what they are equipped to do, and then we'll get into some of these performances, because holy Luke Kennard, people, that's next.
Locked On Lakers is brought to you by Indeed Workplace Chaos. Deadlines are stacking up, the inbox is overflowing, and you got one position that still is sitting open. You got to fill it. And when the pressure's on and you need to find the right hire, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for. Skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I'll be talking with you, companies like yours make 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. Spend less time searching, more time actually interviewing candidates who check all the boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. We need the right person to cut through the chaos. This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Listen to this show. We'll get a $75 sponsored job credit to help you get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Go to Indeed.com/podcast. Excuse me, right now. Support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire. This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs.
Andy trying desperately to land the plane. Locked On Lakers brought to you as well by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are here. We just saw, and where every possession matters, every matchup is magnified, and every game can swing a series. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers a great way to get in on the action. You bet just $5. You get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. The app makes it super easy to follow the action with player stats, trends, and matchups all in one place. You can watch Luke Kennard explode on your app in real time. And during the playoffs, that extra insight really matters when you're looking at stars, role players, and key moments. Just makes the entire playoff experience a little more engaging from start to finish. So go ahead, FanDuel.com to get started. Again, FanDuel.com to get started. FanDuel, play your game.
And finally, Locked On Lakers is brought to you by Rocket Money. If you've ever opened up your bank account and thought, where did all my money go? You're not alone. Keeping track of subscription spending and bills can get overwhelming fast. And that's where Rocket Money comes in, helping you take control of your finances. It tracks your subscriptions in one spot, helps you cancel the ones you don't need in a few taps. It automatically characterizes your spending so you can actually see where your money's going, and you can set budgets, get alerts, stay on top of upcoming bills. It just makes everything feel more organized. It gives you a clearer picture of your finances day to day. Rocket Money is a personal finances app that helps you find and cancel unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/lockedon. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon.
All right. So it's, the way the Lakers in first rounds always are like, okay, you have that game one and you look at it and you say, okay, well, blank did this, and this, and that's not going to be like these guys did this, and that. And it's always you're looking for things, or at least I am, like what's sustainable and what do you not expect to repeat. And if you're a Lakers fan, you're looking at this and you're like, okay, Luke Kennard, he was awesome. Can we expect Luke Kennard to do this, like where he doesn't miss a three-pointer? And it was 8 of 11 from the foot. No, probably not. Like, I think Luke's not going to shoot 100% from 3-point range in this series. But, I think you can expect performances like this from LeBron, probably even with a little bit more scoring. I think, the type of defense, the activity from DeAndre Ayton, all these other things, The Lakers' shooting percentage will probably go down over the course of the series a little bit. They shot 61% from the floor in this game. That's probably not sustainable. Flip side is they turned the ball over 18 times, and that's a number they can cut down. They shot 65% from the free throw line. They almost outshot their free throw performance from the field. Like, that's a number, even with the Lakers not being a great free throw shooting team, that's a number you would expect to go up. So, like, what they did broadly to me in game one didn't feel unsustainable. I would expect Houston to shoot better in game two and beyond than they did in game one. Just some regression to the positive regression. I think they were 38% from the floor, 33% from three. That'll get a little bit better. They missed a lot of open shots. But
well, I mean, look, to be perfectly honest, a lot of what Houston did tonight immediately changes if Durant plays.
100%.
So, but I'm just saying, like, in terms of what to expect moving forward, like what we saw in terms of defending Houston completely shifts if KD actually plays. But like you brought up Luke Kennard, for example, and by the way, a stat I tracked down that is pretty amazing. This was Luke Kennard's playoff career high, 27 points is obviously his debut with the Lakers. 27 points for Luke Kennard in his first playoff game. Gabe Vincent in 10 Laker playoff games, 21 points. I'm going to say the Lakers won this trade. And what I don't expect Luke Kennard to average 27 points in this series, but what is sustainable, I mean, beyond the fact that he's a really good shooter, he's an elite shooter, so he led the league in three-point shooting this year, so you expect him to make threes.
Right. It's not like Jared Vanderbilt went 3 for 5 or 4 for 5 or something like that.
But what is sustainable for Kennard, if not necessarily at this high of a percentage in terms of success, is we've seen this season he is able to put the ball on the floor and pop up at the elbows to hit jumpers. He's actually able to get to the rim. They created a lot of baskets tonight off. You know, JJ said this was one of the best paint touch games they've had this season. Like it's among the best they've had. Some of that was Luke Kennard collapsing the defense. Like LeBron obviously did a lot of it. You know, LeBron operating out of the post was huge in this game. Marcus Smart had a lot of drives into the paint. Deandre Ayton, by definition, his points are in the paint. There was a really good sequence where that began with Rui posting up against against Reed Shepherd. Of course, that required a double. The kick out comes. I don't remember. It might have been Kennard hitting a three, but like the Lakers were able to do a lot in the paint in this game, and the ways Kennard was scoring didn't feel out of character for what we've seen this season.
No, it was the rate of conversion, but you know, you are correct that, you know, the success and this is what I'm getting at, like the success that they had defensively is going to be harder to replicate exactly even if Durant doesn't play, just because you would expect Houston to hit more shots. If and when Durant does play, obviously I agree with you. Like it's just going to be different, but the Lakers showed a level of cohesion on that side of the ball that, assuming they can kind of keep the spirit up when Durant hits some shots or creates things for other people, whatever, that is something that they can, like they worked as a unit in ways that I think are encouraging. And I'll tell you this, the other thing that I found encouraging about the way that this game played out, they were expecting Houston to give them enormous trouble on the offensive glass. And you know what? They did. And so, like, I actually take some solace in the idea of, like, some confidence, not solace, confidence, because the Lakers actually do have room. It wasn't like they played some like perfect rebounding scheme that they're going to have to replicate over and over again for the rest of the series. Houston kind of did to them, I thought, more or less on the glass what they expected, and they could get a little better at it, or if nothing else, they showed they can kind of weather that storm.
Well, what I thought the Lakers did really well, like JJ, his mantra all week was ball security, box out, ball security, box out. And in particular, keeping Houston off the offensive glass. Like they knew Houston is going to get their offensive rebounds. As LeBron said,
Right.
they're like the best offensive rebounding team in the last 25 years. Like, and the Lakers are an average at best defensive rebounding team. So
middle of the pack in defensive rebounding percentage.
So some of this is going to happen regardless, but Houston had 21 offensive rebounds, which is obviously a lot. Some of that is the byproduct of them missing a lot of shots. And I will say, if Durant doesn't play in game 2, I would expect Houston maybe to shoot better than they did in this game. But I'm going to be honest, I don't expect them to shoot a lot better. Their offense is pretty clunky and raggedy, often with Durant. Without Durant, as both an individual scorer and as their best safety valve, I actually think their offense could remain pretty ragged. But anyway, the 21 offensive rebounds the Lakers gave up, Houston scored 23 second chance points off that. That's actually not terrible for that many offensive rebounds.
Sure.
Same along the same lines. They gave up 20 total turnovers in this. The Lakers turned the ball over 20 total times. They gave up 24 points off turnovers, which in a vacuum, 24 points off turnovers is a lot. But off 20, it's not terrible. And what I think the Lakers did very well in this game was not give up on mistakes that they made. They did not give up on plays. There were, I believe, back-to-back possessions, or actually it happened twice in the same possession, where after Houston got a miss and they were tapping around the loose ball, the Lakers forced a jump ball because somebody was on the ground. And like they stayed with plays really well and did a good job just offsetting some of the weaknesses that came through in this game, or some of the areas where they were going to be disadvantaged. Like pretty much everybody down the line who played real minutes in this game had at least one standout hustle play. And those all add up after a while.
Yeah, the Lakers are going to have to work harder than Houston to mitigate some of those disadvantages they have in athleticism and overall roster depth, whatever it might be. They're going to have to do that. But like it's hard for them, I think, sometimes necessarily to elevate. There are limitations. You were talking before about they can't just stomp teams out of games. It's hard for them to run a team out of the gym with how they have to play offense, how they have to play defense. But what they can do is they can show and display some consistency. And we talked a lot about mental toughness and all that kind of stuff coming into the series. One of the ways the Lakers are going to have to show that, but they're going to have to show if they, they're going to have 2 more home games at least. With this much we know, and all that kind of stuff. Assuming Houston wins a game, which I am. So we know they're going to play. Like the Lakers have to be consistent in their execution and in their effort and in their intention, even when the results aren't good. And in game 1, the results generally were. Again, they can improve in the offensive rebound and they can improve in the turnovers, but by and large, like this was a very good game. Like Houston's a good team. They're going to force the Lakers to do some things wrong. But the consistency with which they approached all of this stuff, I think was great. And I just can't emphasize enough how important it is that they did this without having to have LeBron go crazy in this first game from a scoring standpoint. He could exert control and direction, and I thought he did throughout the game, but it didn't require him to put up 35. That is a winning formula for the Lakers.
Yeah, you mentioned LeBron. He had 8 of his 13 assists in the first quarter, which is a playoff career high. I believe they said during the broadcast for any if not
yes,
first quarter.
Any first quarter in NBA history as well, if I remember that correctly. Yes.
And he had 10 assists in the first half, which tied a career high for LeBron. He had 13 total assists against just 2 turnovers. Both those turnovers came in the third quarter. Otherwise, LeBron was completely clean. He made some incredible passes in this game, whether you're talking about like left-handed shuffle passes, wraparounds, behind the back, backward kickouts. He just was, as a passer in this game, working out of the post, just seeing guys off cuts. You mentioned his control over the game. Like LeBron's control that he exerted was a massive difference maker. DeAndre Ayton, his first playoff game as a Laker, was terrific. 19 points, 11 rebounds, a block, had a lot of challenges in the lane.
Really frustrated Şengün, yeah.
He absolutely outplayed Alperen Şengün by a wide margin in this game. And look, we talked about how DeAndre Ayton has been saying all the right things, said he was doing backflips, that he was back in the playoffs. DeAndre Ayton has said the right things all season, other than, I know Clint Capella, but he has not always backed up his words with actions. This was a night where he had 2 also in the fourth quarter, critical baskets when Houston was starting to make a bit of a run, a bit of a push. He was just on both ends terrific. Rui Hachimura, 14 points and 5 stocks. He had 3 steals and 2 blocks. That's got to be a career playoff high for stocks for Rui. He was quite good.
I'm not even going to look it up.
I did. Well, I did look it up. He had at least 1 game as a Laker with 5 stocks, but I can tell just by looking at Basketball Reference, this was a playoff high for him. I thought Jared Vanderbilt had a lot of really good possessions defending Reed Shepherd and disrupting that rhythm. We talked about heading in this game. If you can get Reed Shepherd, and this is before we even knew Durant wasn't going to play, if you can get Reed Shepherd to play inefficiently, that is going to lead to a lot of inefficient offense for Houston, because
he's a space maker. Without Kevin Durant, especially, he is an essential space maker for them.
But it was just a really, really good night for the Lakers. There obviously were standout guys. Kennard and Ayton and LeBron, I think, are going to be the guys talked about the most. But it really was a great team effort tonight.
So we'll see what happens in game 2. We'll get the news. The Lakers, well, in this case, the Rockets really benefit from having an extra day per se. The Lakers don't play game 2 until Tuesday night. So there is an extra night in there, and then they don't play again until Friday. So if were Durant to miss game 2, he would have even longer to rest before a game 3. But it's still good for LeBron to sit down and get an extra day. It's good for the Lakers to be able to practice and continue this rhythm that they've been able to build. It's just this. We'll finish here. Like, the Lakers were given an opportunity, they were given an opening, and they took it. And if Durant plays the rest of the series, the Lakers get a game, and I don't want to say they were spotted a game, because it's not like you don't just waltz onto the court and beat Houston even when KD doesn't play, but you were sort of spotted this game, given this opportunity to go take a game where the advantage was relatively even, and you did it. And now you steal a game here and there, whatever. Like, the Lakers, the path to 4 wins in this series gets a lot brighter, a lot faster. So it's just a great night for the Lakers. We will, of course, will have more for this as the week begins. Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where you can hang out with over 38,000 subscribers to the channel. We will see everyone on Monday.